Alright, what's up everyone, I'm Loki, and today we're going to be taking a look at a preview of the Week 11 matchup between the 6-3 Seattle Seahawks and the 6-3 Arizona Cardinals. Coming off of a rough Week 10 loss to the LA Rams, the Seahawks are going to look to bounce back against the Arizona Cardinals in Week 11 to try to not get swept in the season series. But with the Cardinals coming off of a crazy Week 10 victory against the Buffalo Bills with the last-second Hail Mary play, they're going to have a lot of momentum coming into this game where the Seahawks don't really have any momentum after two really bad weeks. In these last 4 weeks, which albeit have been very tough matchups for the Seahawks, Russell Wilson has been very turnover heavy, having 10 turnovers in the last 4 games. Of course, against the 49ers, Russell Wilson did play really well and didn't have any turnovers, but the other 3 games, Russell Wilson in the first game against the Cardinals had 3 turnovers, against the Bills he had 4, and last week against the Rams he had 3 turnovers as well. And in these high turnover games, the only game that Russell Wilson didn't have more turnovers than touchdowns was the Cardinals game that we ended up losing, where he had 3 turnovers and 3 touchdowns, so honestly still not a good game whatsoever. So going into this game, I definitely think Russell Wilson's going to look to turn this around and not have as many turnovers. He's going to try to play more safe with the ball, most likely, not throw any crazy passes where he's going to get intercepted, and probably we're going to get the run game more involved, especially now that Carlos Hyde and Chris Carson both have really good chances of coming back. Taking a look at the injuries for the Seahawks in this Week 11 matchup against the Cardinals, we're still probably going to have a lot of issues with defense, with Shaquille Griffin and Quentin Dunbar being out this week. On the offensive side of the football for the Seahawks, things are definitely looking up with Carlos Hyde coming into this game with no injury designation. Chris Carson is also questionable for this game after limited participation in Tuesday's practice, but Pete Carroll has said that he looked good and there is definitely a chance that he can play. He is still questionable though, so it'll probably be like a game time decision, but honestly, if he doesn't play this week, he's most definitely playing next week. Travis Homer is doubtful for this game, but with Carlos Hyde coming back for sure and Chris Carson questionable with a pretty decent chance at playing, that's not too big of an issue. One thing that might be something to be wary of is the fact that Tyler Lockett is questionable for this game after not practicing the entire week. I've seen reports saying that he's fine and he's probably going to be playing this week, but with no participation in practice, it is kind of iffy, seeing as though he's questionable going into this game, but I think he probably will play, and if he doesn't, we still have some great receivers that can take his place with Freddie Swain, David Moore, and DK Metcalf. And for the Cardinals, they're really not dealing with too many injuries, so this really is just a game where the Seahawks are getting a little bit more healthy, but they still are having some pretty big injuries nonetheless. In the Week 7 matchup against the Arizona Cardinals, where the Seahawks took their first loss of the season, Russell Wilson did not play particularly well with 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. With so many turnovers from Russell Wilson, it was quite surprising that this game actually was close and went to overtime, because honestly, the Seahawks defense has not been good this entire season. Our best game was last week against the Rams, where we got completely dominated on the offensive side. The Rams defense just completely controlled the offense for the Seahawks. But honestly, our defense had not been playing well, so with 3 interceptions, the fact that that game was close was surprising, but it definitely was a well-deserved loss, and we ended up just completely losing. The Cardinals played a great game offensively and defensively, and Russell Wilson just had an off game, and of course the defense did not really pick it up either. Also in that Cardinals game, Chris Carson did get hurt around halfway through the game, and Carlos Hyde came in. He played pretty well, 4.5 yards a carry, a touchdown. Not bad, but overall our run game really couldn't get going, and with Carlos Hyde being injured the past few weeks as well, with both Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde out, our run game has been basically non-existent the past few weeks. And now going into this Week 11 matchup against the Arizona Cardinals, the Seahawks do not want to get swept in this divisional rival series, so they're going to need to come out with the win, and there are definitely some things that can be changed, can be fixed, that will definitely help us have a better chance of winning this game. Of course, coming off some really bad games the past few weeks, it'll be nice to have Carlos Hyde and maybe even Chris Carson back in the backfield and have our run game actually be a potential threat. I think it would definitely help the offense as a whole if we get more balanced as a run-pass team. Of course, Russell Wilson, everyone has wanted to see him cook, but without a run game, it's really hard for the passing game to get going, so we need to get our run game going and then let our passing game feed off of that. So hopefully our team will be able to do that. Hopefully Carlos Hyde, if he is the only running back playing out of Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde, he will be able to pick it up and be better than we have been for the past few games. And Russell Wilson, being the leader of the offense and basically the leader of the entire team, he's going to need to keep those turnovers low, because of course our defense has not really been playing defense the entire season. So Russell Wilson, if he throws multiple interceptions, our defense is probably not going to be able to get enough stops to stop the Cardinals from just taking a pretty decent lead over us. And Russell Wilson, he needs to get back on track. He needs to start throwing some accurate passes, stop forcing things, don't throw too many interceptions, don't have too many turnovers, and maybe get some touchdowns. Throw the ball DK Metcalf's way, because last week against the Rams, we really didn't even test Jalen Ramsey. DK Metcalf, I would have bet that he probably could have got 1 or 2 of those contested catches against Jalen Ramsey, but we never really threw it up to him. So hopefully this week Russell Wilson will have a bit more confidence in him. But really, this Week 11 matchup definitely comes down to the 2 worst spots on the Seahawks team, and that is the defense as a whole and the offensive line. The offensive line for the Seahawks has been playing absolutely atrocious the past few weeks compared to what they were doing earlier on in the season. And early on in the season, they weren't doing great, but at least they weren't, letting Russell Wilson get hit about 20 times a game. And that's leading to Russell Wilson throwing these interceptions, getting the ball, fumbling the ball on sacks. So, some of these turnovers are on the fault of the offensive linemen. Of course, last game against the Rams, there was the center who just threw it to Russell Wilson's ankle, so he really couldn't do anything about that, and he got the fumble for that. But really, the offensive line has not been protecting Russell Wilson. Last game against the Rams, one of the interceptions that Russell Wilson threw, it was a great play design, but the ball couldn't get there in time because Russell Wilson had to step up in the pocket because there was so much pressure. If the offensive line would have held their blocks better, that would have definitely been a touchdown, but because Russell Wilson had to step up and kind of delay his pass by just about a second or two, that's what kind of led to that interception. And that's just the little things that the offensive line needs to do better, because plays like that, that's the difference between a touchdown and an interception. That's the difference between 7 points and maybe a 14-point flip because we don't get the 7 points and the other team gets the 7 points because our defense really can't play defense. So this offensive line definitely needs to pick it up. They need to protect their quarterback because Russell Wilson, although he is great, he's great at evading pressure, he really cannot do it all by himself. His offensive line needs to play better, and there are some great plays being called up, but really, we're not finding success on them because our offensive line cannot protect Russell Wilson long enough. And when it comes to the Seahawks defense, my God, there's really nowhere to go but up for this team because our defense has not been playing defense this entire season. Last week against the Rams, we held them to 23 points, which is the best game that we've had all season. We got some decent stack numbers over the past few weeks, but honestly, our defense has not been playing great. We kind of just play a soft zone where we let them catch the ball, and then, they get a first down, and then we tackle them, and eventually they just drive all the way down the field, and it takes forever. Then our offense gets cold. So basically, our defense, we're really not giving up the big plays, but now we're just giving up super long drives that inevitably end up in scores, and then our offense gets cold because they're off the field for about 8 to 10 minutes every single time the other team gets the ball. So really, not a great game plan because our defense really isn't stopping anyone. They're really just letting up long drives that end up in scores, and our offense gets kind of cold, and there's really no real chance for Russell Wilson and the offense to get momentum because they're not on the field for a long time. Maybe they'll have a good drive, then they'll be off the field for 8 to 10 minutes, then they come back, they kind of have to get that momentum back. So our defense, they either need to give up a big play in about 1 minute, or they need to completely stop the other team because there's really no in between that is allowable right now because we're letting up long drives that end up in scores, and then our offense really comes out and struggles. So hopefully our defense will be able to pick it up. Jamal Adams is back. Hopefully he'll be able to come in. Last week he was, looking pretty off on some plays, but he did seem like he had a bit of an injury or something. He was kind of being really weird about his shoulder. I'm not exactly sure what was going on, but he did not look great last week. He did play fine, but honestly, our entire defense didn't play great. They played okay, stopped them from scoring too much, but really our defense has to pick it up, especially against a tough matchup in the Cardinals, who are one of the best offenses in the league. And on the topic of best offenses in the league, the Arizona Cardinals are the best offense in the league when it comes to gaining yards, and they are by far the best rushing offense in the league. And for the Seahawks, the past few weeks, the offense has not looked great, especially last week against the Rams. Russell Wilson really couldn't get anything going. We had a pretty decent 13-yard run from Alex Collins into the end zone, which wasn't bad play, but really other than that, we didn't really do anything. Jason Myers did actually break the franchise record for the longest field goal with a 61-yarder, so good for him last week, but that was really the only good plays we had. So hopefully our offense will be able to pick it up. We have not played well against the Bills last 2 weeks, and we did not play good last week against the Rams, so hopefully this week we'll be able to come back, have a pretty good offensive game. Russell Wilson, he needs to pick it up, of course. Hopefully the run game will be able to pick it up with Carlos Hyde being back and potentially Chris Carson, but really this Cardinals team is an amazing offensive team. They're doing amazing in the run game, and our defense has not been good, particularly anywhere. Our run defense has been okay this season, but we've definitely started to let up a lot more yards than we have earlier on in the season. So hopefully we'll be able to get back to the stage where, our passing defense is just atrocious, but at least we can stop the run. But right now, our defense does not look like it can really stop anything right now. The Cardinals are also a top 10 defensive team in the NFL, so this is definitely going to be a very tough game for the Seahawks, coming off some very rough weeks against the Bills and the Rams. But hopefully this week we'll be able to come out, maybe have a game that no one really expects, because everyone's kind of expecting our offense to be okay, because they have not been good the past few weeks, and our defense to just keep being bad. Maybe we come out and surprise some people, but the Cardinals right now, being a top 10 defense, being the best offense in the league when it comes to yards, the best rushing offense in the league, really, we have to worry. We have to watch out for the run game. We have to watch out for Kyler Murray running the ball. We have to watch out for Kenyan Drake, and honestly, Chase Edmonds, for a backup running back, he is insanely talented, so we really have to watch out for this run game, but that cannot stop us from just not focusing on the pass game, because we have to stop the pass. We have to stop the run. We have to worry about Kyler Murray. We have to worry about Kenyan Drake. We have to worry about Chase Edmonds. We also have to worry about Deandre Hopkins, who apparently could just catch any Hail Mary thrown to him against 3 people. And honestly, our defense is much worse than the Bills, so there's not much hope to stopping Deandre Hopkins. Hopefully we will be able to stop him with our top 2 corners out of the game. Trey Flowers is going to have to carry us on the defensive side of the football, so really not a good look for this passing defense. Hopefully the run defense will be good, but honestly, I don't have much hope for this defense. We are one of the worst defenses in the league right now, just overall. So we're going to need to pick it up this week on the defensive side of the football against an amazing offensive team in the Cardinals with Kyler Murray, who can run the ball, of course. A great running game with Kenyan Drake and Chase Edmonds, and of course DeAndre Hopkins, the best, at least one of the best wide receivers. I think he's probably the best wide receiver in the league right now because he just makes plays over and over and over again. So we have to really worry about this game. We have to watch out. This is not going to be a pretty game if we don't start off strong. We have to at least play good on the offensive side of the football, because if we don't, we're going to have a lot of issues, because our defense, I really don't have too much faith in them being able to stop this Cardinals offense. Overall, hopefully our defense will be able to come out and surprise people and actually play well against the Cardinals, but I kind of doubt it. Hopefully Russell Wilson will be able to bounce back and have a good game, throw some touchdowns, keep the interceptions low, keep the turnovers low, and hopefully the run game will be able to show some promise with Carlos Hyde back at least. Hopefully Chris Carson will be able to play because he is insanely talented. It's pretty obvious that without him, we are not really the same running team. So he has shown that he is a very important key piece to our offense in the run game especially, and he's done pretty well in the pass game this year. So hopefully he will be able to come back this game, and if not, next week he will be able to come back. But even if he can't come back, Carlos Hyde, hopefully he will be able to play well. If Tyler Lockett doesn't play, DK Metcalf is going to have to step up. He's going to need to find a way to get open. Russell Wilson's going to need to give him the ball, give him some opportunities. And really, our offensive line needs to play well. Our defense needs to play well. Russell Wilson needs to play well. Everyone needs to play well this game if we want to win, because these Arizona Cardinals are a very tough team with a lot of great players. But going into this Week 11 matchup, primetime Thursday Night Football, second game of the series against the Cardinals, an amazing divisional matchup between the Seahawks and the Cardinals. The Seahawks, I really hope that they can come out and get a big win here. Russell Wilson has never lost 3 times in a row in his NFL career, so he's really going to need to come out, and if he wants to keep that alive, he's going to have to play an amazing game, because I don't really have too much hope in our defense against this amazing Cardinals offense. So Russell Wilson, he's going to come out, he's going to have to carry. Hopefully we'll be able to have a little bit more of a balanced plan when it comes to the game planning for the offense, because man, without a run game, our offense, our pass game has been struggling. So hopefully the run game can get going with Carlos Hyde and maybe even Chris Carson. But Russell Wilson, he's going to need to make some big plays this game. He's going to need to keep the interceptions low, because our defense really doesn't have much of a chance against this amazing Cardinals offense. But hopefully this week we'll be able to come out and surprise some people. The Cardinals have a ton of momentum. We don't really have any momentum after 2 really bad games. But, me being hopeful, me being a Seahawks fan, me believing in Russell Wilson not allowing himself to lose 3 times in a row for the first time in his career, I'm going to be very hopeful and say that this game ends up in a high-scoring win for the Seahawks. I'm going to say 37-31. This is going to be a win for the Seahawks, and really, this is going to be just a struggle for the Seahawks, because this is going to be an offensive game. Russell Wilson needs to come out, he needs to play well, and the defense needs to find a way to at least get a couple stops against this amazing Cardinals offense. But like I said, 37-31 victory for the Seahawks. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if the Cardinals win, but I'm putting my faith in Russell Wilson to come out and have an amazing game, because he does not want to lose 3 times in a row. But with that, that's going to do it for this video. I've given my piece. I've given what I believe is going to happen, but let me know down below in the comments what you think is going to happen this game. Will the Seahawks be able to bounce back and have a good week against the tough Arizona Cardinals, or will the Cardinals continue on their momentum after an amazing win against the Bills and just dominate the Seahawks? We'll have to see what happens, but honestly, like I said, let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and with that, I'd like to thank you for watching. Have a great day.